Welcome back for another video. We're just a few days away from the next Gameweek already, so let's discuss everything we've learned from some of the weekend's games, along with my transfer plans for Gameweek 18, and obviously a huge talking point this week, Saka's injury and the best replacement. Huge result for Villa, but from bad to worse for Man City, who lost 2-1 at Villa Park. Watkins benched again in favour of Duran, who played 79 minutes, and that's 3 games in a row he's scored now with 3 starts in a row. Rodgers' assist for his goal. And then Rodgers bagged the second goal on the stroke of the 65th minute for a 14-point haul. That's the first time in the Premier League that he's got a goal and an assist in a game, and that's his biggest return of the season when he was the 4th most sold player, over 300,000 sales, and he was the 3rd most bench player in the game. It was a logical choice for many teams in fairness, so don't beat yourself up if you're one of those. Maybe FPL needs to update the FDRs again for Man City. Over the last 6, they're 4th worst for expected goals conceded. Foden got his first goal of the season, which is actually unbelievable having scored 19 times last season. If you'd said to me before the season he won't score till Gameweek 17, I would have assumed he picked up a long-term injury and only just returned now or something. Haaland didn't get the service that he desired, just one shot for him. Brentford 0, Forest 2. Brentford's home streak coming to an end thanks to goals from Aina and Elanga. That's Aina's second 15-pointer of the season, another player that was benched by hundreds of thousands. Injuries at the back cost Brentford really, with me and Aya coming in for Pinnock and Vandenberg. And Boomer and Visso blanking of course, Visser got booked. Brentford have got Brighton next, so you probably keep hold, and then after that some decisions to make. The 4 games following that are Arsenal, Southampton, Man City and Liverpool. It's a pretty brutal run, with just that one nice game sandwich in there. So having started the season at 4.5 mil, Aina's now the top scoring defender in the game with 75 points at the time of recording. Absolutely crazy. He's 4.9 mil now. It's Tottenham up next for Forest at home. Wood wasn't too much of a threat either this game. He took 3 shots, 2 in the box, but just 0.28 expected goals. He's not the worst Cunha replacement though if you're looking to sell. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4. Isak absolutely running the show here, sealing his hat-trick by the 54th minute. He's the 2nd Swedish player to score a hat-trick in the Premier League after Freddie Ljungberg for Arsenal back in May 2003. Newcastle is showing some serious form lately, 9.68 expected goals over the last 4 game weeks. Murphy with another haul, 1 goal 1 assist for him. Is he being slept on? That's 3 goals 3 assists in 3 games. The problem with him is the guaranteed early substitution, 63, 63, 59 and 73 minutes recently. Isak's climbed up just 5 points behind Haaland now, which says it all about his value, and Haaland's drop off I suppose. From a defensive perspective, the best fixtures have passed, so I'd look elsewhere now if you're considering haul. Probably sensible to give it a few weeks once Villa, Man United and Spurs are out of the way, after which point Newcastle have got Wolves home, Bournemouth home, Southampton away and Fulham home. Over the last 4 game weeks, Isak has 4.87 expected goal involvement, that's more than twice as many as any other forward. West Ham 1, Brighton 1. Points shared, thanks to goals from Kudus and Vifa. Bowen and Dunk with the assists. Cast your minds back to Gameweek 12. João Pedro has 1 goal 1 assist in 2 games in a row. He's looking like a potential bargain for 5.5 mil, maybe a game breaker. And yet in the 5 games since, he's got just 1 assist. 3 draws and 2 losses with Brighton, who are struggling to click recently. Likewise Matoma, who showed a lot of potential, but he's blanked for 4 games in a row now. Looking at their fixtures, you may as well give them one more game, as it's Brentford home next, who could be without Pinnock and Vandenberg again at the back, and then selling seems pretty obvious before they've got Villa away and Arsenal home. That said, João Pedro for that cheap is benchable as well, and you just go for a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2. Brighton are 7th worst over the season for expected goals conceded, so it looks like it's time to look elsewhere for defenders. I'm aiming to get rid of Van Heck myself very soon. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 5. Huge response from Arsenal, amidst complaints of their struggle for goals and open play, but obviously not coming out of it unscathed. The positives were Jesus continuing his form from the League Cup, rewarded with a start after the hat-trick, and he came away with 2 goals and an assist here. Fun fact, he's never lost a game in the Premier League when he scored, a 61 game streak and counting. Rice with 2 returns off the bench, Calafiori assist off the bench, Martinelli goal, Gabriel assist etc. But Saka substituted in the first half, clutching his hamstring, immediately flagging to the bench. Post-match, Arteta said he felt something in his hamstring, he could not continue, he had to be assessed, we were pretty worried. Injured at the worst possible time for an FPL perspective, a high scoring game, and right before Ipswich home next. He was later spotted leaving the game on crutches as well. So who are the best Saka replacements? My early thoughts are Bruno, because he faces Wolves, or you could go down to a cheaper mid like Enzo, Ahmed or Rodgers, to upgrade elsewhere, such as funding Trent or Isak. I mean, Ipswich home's an incredible fixture next for Arsenal. I mean, they just conceded 4 to Newcastle, so there are other opportunities to go for an Arsenal mid again, like Ødegaard, maybe Martinelli or Trossard, but they feel a bit punty, and the fixtures are mixed after that. So continuing the Saka discussion, let's actually do a slide talking about Saka replacements. He's in 4.7 million teams, so I think the biggest talking point this week is going to be who to sell him for. So a few options to compare here: Bruno, Ahmad, Enzo, Sarr, Rodgers and Son. There's quite a few different price points here. Son is like for like in price, Bruno a couple of million cheaper, and then there's that 5 to 6 million bracket where Ahmad, Enzo, Sarr and Rodgers sit. A big factor for your teams is what that extra money can go towards. Now Son's the most explosive pick. When he's on it, he's got it in him to hit a 15 plus pointer. We got 14 points against Southampton in Gameweek 16 in just 45 minutes. He's got home games to Wolves and Leicester coming up, so some really nice fixtures in there. I can't help but think someone cheaper overall will offer more though. Bruno frees up 2 million, which suddenly enables a cheaper defender up to Trent or Cunha to Isak. And the same for the even cheaper mids obviously. Man United have got the best fixture next week really, Wolves away, and then it's Newcastle home, Liverpool away, which is a bit trickier. But then they've got some amazing fixtures from Gameweek 21 onwards. Enzo has been ticking along with returns recently in his new role. He's actually got the third best XGI over the last 6 out of these players, with 2.97 XGI at the time of recording. Sarr is the serious differential pick though. He's only 0.7% owned, and over the last 6 games played, he's top of all these players for XGI of 3.57. Rodgers has got perhaps the worst entry point in Gameweek 18 with Newcastle away, but if you're able to bench him for a better player, after that he's playable every game barring Arsenal away really. So here's how their data actually looks for the last 6 games they've played at the time of recording. Sarr's 3.57 XGI is the highest of all of them, and he's got Southampton home in Gameweek 19. Ahmad's is actually the lowest of the 6, but is the second cheapest after Enzo. A lot to think about here. Drop a comment below, who are you selling Saka for? So let's have an early look at my team selection and transfer plans, including what I plan to do with Saka. The team is Raya, Colwill, Gabriel, Pedro Porro, Bowen, Palmer, Salah, Saka, Semenyo, Wood and Isak. And on the bench it'll be Fabianski, Strand Larsen, Van Heck and Greaves. First of all, very relieved to have resisted temptation and rolled when I was considering selling Bowen or Van Heck. Sometimes when it's just a minor gain to make, the best thing to do is just roll. 2 free transfers, I've got nothing in the bank though. It looks like Saka's probably going to miss quite a stretch of games due to the hamstring injury, so he's got to go. The current plan is to sell him for Bruno Fernandes, who in fairness, for all the stick he got early in the season, he has looked much better recently. If he split the 17 game weeks into halves, the second half he's done well. Making this move leaves me with 1.9 million in the bank, so the plan is to use the second free transfer as well, which will be to sell Porro for Trent for Leicester home. This feels like a really good pair of moves in combination to give me 9 players of a home fixture and 2 away, which will be Bowen and Bruno. These 2 moves also leave me with 0.4 mil in the bank, which tees up a potential move selling Van Heck to Munoz in Gameweek 19 when they're home to Southampton, and they've got a nice run of games from there on. Munoz is 4th best among all defenders for XGI this season. One thing I am conscious of is the potential double game week for Everton and Liverpool, which has been touted for Gameweek 24, so not that far away. The plan is to use the assistant managership then, so I'm going to have to free up 1.5 mil to use on slot. Bruno to a cheaper mid seems like a good way to go about it, or if I do keep hold of Bowen then he could go instead. Though they are home to Palace that week, Man United, and then they've got Spurs and Everton, so I need to be careful not to throw away lots of points, otherwise the chip's going to be redundant anyway. The solution could be Ahmad to stay on the Man United pick. There's FPL content coming every day before the deadline, so make sure you subscribe. It's completely free and you can always change your mind. See you soon for the next one.